Now you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't remember it so well, this, but it's something like this. Like you have, I don't know, let's say you have a tag. Give me a tag,
Tag.
an HTML tag, div. For like a division, section, and I can say ID equals 7. And then I can say hello. Hello. I always want to spell hello with a W. Backslash div. That looks familiar to you? No.
No.
We didn't learn HTML.
No, we didn't.
Okay, so that's HTML. So in other words, if the browser looks at this, the browser is just going to see the word, the browser is going to print the word hello. That's all you're going to see on the screen, hello. Because anything in between these angle brackets is ignored. What they are, like a very basic HTML is I can do like a T, for example. T, not T, no, I mean I. There's an I tag. I means italics. So now if I write the word world, backslash I don't know why I drew that I that way here. I and backslash I. So what you'll see on the screen is hello world. But the world one will be in italics. The world word. This one won't. What did the div one do? Actually, it didn't do anything. It just says this is a division. This is a section. It doesn't really do anything. So why did I make it? Well, first of all, understand the idea that these things are directives to the browser on how to display it. It's called a markup language. That's what HTML stands for. Hypertext markup language. ML is markup language. So this is I'm marking up the text. I'm saying how I want to present it. Now, if I made this div, now I can make a CSS page and say, in my CSS, I can say, the div that's ID is 7 should also be in italics, or should be bold, or should be red, or should be blue. I can give it in a separate file, a CSS file. I can give it a whole list of things that I want to do for various elements. So I can, because I've given this an ID, I gave it a div which didn't do anything, but I also gave it an ID which didn't do anything, but it gave me a way of referring to it. So now I can refer to this hello, and I can in my CSS file and do whatever I want. So I made this ID for the purpose of being able to edit the way the text look in a CSS file instead of, and it's just an alternate way of doing of changing. I could have done it here, but CSS has more possibilities. Now, if I would add more stuff before, in here, if I would write, exclamation mark here, then that would also be whatever I said about ID 7 would be effective. Now, once I have this, I can say like this, find element by. I can say find element by ID. And then I give it where ID equals 7. You understand?
Yeah.
But I could also say find element by name, because I could actually have, this could actually be name. I could also name it. Then it would be name equals. This is a finite, I can't write anything I want here, but there's certain things that I recognize. A name and ID I recognize. So that's the basic idea. It may be slightly different from the way I said it, but I think that's the way, that's what I recall. So let's continue. Share screen. Share. I guess we were sharing before. Okay. Just it's funny because it says share here. It should be unshare. How can you share if you're already sharing? Okay, so you can find the element. You see what it's are you following with me, or are you doing something else?
No, I have it on here.
Okay. Find element by ID, and then I write some ID. And the sum ID is like, for example, 7. And then this function will give me back a reference to that part of the web page. That's the whole idea of this part. That's basically the whole concept here. I can do find my name and find by XPath. Whatever XPath is, it's like some other way of getting it. Examples of uses will follow later in the presentation. If there is no element that matches the ID, a no such element exception will be thrown. If there are two elements with the same ID, the first element will be returned. Because we did find element without an S. If we did find elements, then it would give us, I guess, a list. Accessing the element. So here is a link to YouTube. Fine, okay. The next section is from, oh, I added this. In the original slides, he had these pictures, and I said, this picture doesn't look like he made it, and I see the subscribe thing here, and that looks like YouTube. So I searched for it on YouTube.
And you found exactly.
And I found the exact video that he did screen captures from. So here is the video. It's a 20-minute video and it's got an Indian voice, so it's a little bit annoying.
The Indians are always making videos.
Right, Indians make these
I like
videos.
their accents.
You like it?
It's
I
funny.
don't know if we should, you might want, anyway, the next section is from the YouTube video, here is the link. So you could look at that on your own.
Okay.
But let's try to figure it out ourselves. Identifying page elements. I didn't have the patience to look at it. So here you see exactly what I just did. See, it says ID equals user, type equals text, input. I don't know why there's this input, why there's twice this input. It's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Why is it, why, because input ID is, anyway, here we're in a form. Yeah, see this form? That means we can have input type, so we have different inputs. This is the user, okay, now I understand. This is to get this little user thing here, you see that? That's this user. This is the password. Pass is password. But why is this not, it should be in quotation marks also. It's a mistake.
Where? Okay.
This word pass should have a quote at the end. Right?
Oh yeah, if it's not closed, yeah.
It's not closed. Anyway, this is this, and then here, submit button. This is, in order to make a submit button, you make an input type equals submit. And then you have to give it a name. And the value. The value is what's ever written on the button. Right? The value is written on the, but here you see name. So we could actually get this submit button by name. It has no ID, but it has a name. We could get actually, see this pass, this is not the HTML for this page, because the word username here should appear somewhere over here. How would it get that name? The fact that I just called it user is just an ID that I made up. I could have called it Kukuriku, I could have called it anything I want. And the type text, the fact that I said type text, that's what gives me this white box here. That I can type.
How does it know its usernames?
Exactly, it does. I don't know how this username got printed. It should really have like some text. Just like this one has value equals login. That's what writes, oh, well, actually, this is login with a lowercase l. And this is capital. I think this is a little bit phony. I think it's a little bit
The
phony.
user's just like pre-saved into the program, so it knows user's username.
No.
And it always says.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think it's a mistake. And also here, for sure, it's a mistake. This should be a capital L.
True. Oh, it's not even.
This should be a capital L.
So it usually.
I think that I think that somebody just typed this out, looked at this picture and typed out something and didn't actually, it's not the actual code they created. It doesn't really matter, but it's confusing. I'm saying it's confusing because of that. That's why I'm explaining the mistakes, just so you understand what's really going on here. This is not generating the word username. This is just generating the box, and this is generating a box, and this is generating a button. When I say input type equals submit, that means it's a button. But we have a name here. We gave it a name. This name here, name equals submit, really doesn't do anything. Do you understand what I mean? I could remove this name equals submit and the image would look exactly the same.
What's the point?
The point is just so that I can give it a name so that I can refer to it in the CSS page, for example. And let's say I want the button to be green. So I can't do that in the HTML, but maybe in the CSS, like in the CSS page, I'll say make the background green. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I want to give it a name so that I can know what I'm talking about in some other location. But it doesn't do anything here. So. And here it says this is input 3. Okay, the slash means access to element. Which slash? This slash. HTML body. In other words, we're saying like this: go to HTML, go to the body, and go to the form. See, HTML body form. In the page, there's a kind of a structure. You can almost imagine it indented, where body is indented and form is indented, and then this is the closes the form, closes the body, and closes the HTML.
Oh, okay.
So I want to go in. I want to go within the HTML. Everything here is within the HTML, and then body. Within, well, the whole form is within the body. I could have 2 forms in the body, for example. I would just open another form. After this form, I would do another form open and a form close. But here I have 1 form. So I go HTML body form and then input 3. Why input 3? Because it sees that input, input, input. There's 3 inputs here.
Mhm.
This tag is technically whatever is immediately written after the arrow is the kind of tag it is. The space. These are parameters. So the name of this tag is, the type of tag is input tag. This particular one is an input tag which has a specific type, which is called submit, which is a special kind of type of input. That's why it didn't give me a white box.
Right.
If I would change this to type equals submit, then this white box would go away and I get a button there. You understand?
Yeah,
I'd have a button here and a button there.
got
It'd
it.
be kind of weird to have 2 submit buttons, but you could. Sometimes you have a long form and the submit button at the beginning and at the end.
Got it.
So access the HTML element, then access the HTML element, then access the body element, then access the form element, then access the input element in the 3rd place. In other words, it's a bad translation. Truth is, I should have fixed it a little bit. It's not the input element, it's access the 3rd input element, not an input element in the 3rd place.
Seems like you have a lot of stuff that you need to translate. Must take so long.
Yeah.
Why do they give you so much to translate?
I complain about it. They don't pay me. I get paid just as if I would teach a course that somebody else translates.
That's not fair at all.
I had to translate all this crap.
And you also have operating systems and the homeworks and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you need to hire, like either pay more or hire someone.
I translated, right, I translated.
Big jobs to teach and then.
Yeah, just those labs in operating systems.
Yeah.
Some of them are very long, a lot of translation. And I have to translate them. I have to correct them. You don't even realize that the Hebrew ones sometimes are just stupid and I have to fix them.
They don't pay you more to translate?
I'm trying to get them to. Even if they would pay me, they're not gonna, what are they gonna pay me? A couple thousand shekels, they're not gonna pay me.
It's not fair.
They're not gonna pay me the amount that it's really.
They shouldn't make English programs if they're not ready to like do it legit, do it for real.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know, I just do what I'm told. I'm a poodle. I'm not a bulldog. Type of XPath. So now we're talking about, remember we said there are 3 ways to identify something, either by its name, its ID, or its XPath. So there's types of XPath, relative and absolute. I don't know why we're getting into this, but. So this is, you see, this is also for this lady, from this Indian lady, same woman. Absolute XPath, it contains the complete path from the root to the desired element. I don't know what this little thing is, I got some, starts with a slash, single forward slash. So, okay, so if it starts with a slash, then it's an absolute path. You understand there's an absolute and relative? Relative means from wherever you are at the moment, how much further down you have to go, or how much up you have to go. Relative means, that's relative, but if it's absolute, it means I don't care where you are, imagine you're at the beginning, well, the beginning of all the files is that slash. Advantages, identifies the element very fast. Disadvantage, if there are changes made by the developers in the path of the element, then our XPath will no longer work. As they move things around, No, XPath doesn't work. I hope we have an example. Here, so here's the XPath example. So HTML body form. Again, we want to try to get to this login button. Because we want to press it. What? In other words. This was the XPath. Identifying page. Okay. So we're starting with it. Sorry, maybe I didn't say that right. We could have so we're starting with the XPath, not with ID. So this is the XPath. You understand?
Mhm.
That's the XPath. It's the path. It's a very weird idea. Normally we talk about paths as being paths in the file structure. Directory or folder, inside a folder, go into this folder, then open the next folder, and then open the next folder, and then finally find the file. That's a path. Here we're talking about using paths, but within a file. And not within a directory structure. So that's why we call it XPath. You understand?
Yeah.
So this is the XPath to this element because it's within a file, and we're pretending that like HTML is a folder. And then this is a folder, and this is a folder, and then I'm going to these elements in the folder. Even though it's not really folders, it's parts of a file. So that was absolute. So here they're showing that this worked well and good, like we saw, but imagine that somebody added another element. They said input ID email type text. So we added another text box. Here, email, we asked for his email. Now all of a sudden, this is not the third one. The email is the third one. And we broke this. If we were trying to get to the submit button, then we no longer are getting there. Our path is broken. Our path is the wrong path. We changed to a 4, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, that's the disadvantage of using XPath. Relative path. A relative XPath is one where the path starts from the middle of the HTML DOM, the document object model. I don't know if you've ever heard of DOM. Document object model. Structure of your choice. It doesn't need to start from the root node, which means it can search for the element anywhere in the web page. Starts with a double slash. Advantages: you don't need to mention the long XPath. Disadvantage: it will take more time in identifying the element as we specify the partial path, not the exact path. It'd be nice if she gives us. Yeah, so let's see. Basic syntax of XPath, of a relative. XPath equals select the current node, tag name. Tag name like div, image, input. So for example, the tag name might be input. Yeah. The tag, I want this button, so the tag name is input.
Yeah.
This is called a tag. What the form, whatever in between the braces, between the arrows is called a tag. So tag name, and then attribute equals value. Select attribute and give it the value that you want with the @ sign. So the slash is used to correct the current node. The tag name is the name of the particular node. Is used to select the attribute. Is the name of the attribute, is the value of the attribute. So here, XPath input type, where the ID equals email. This is very funny what we're doing here, because we're using XPath to find it, but really we could have just found it by ID. But we're using XPath and then we're using ID within XPath. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole other method, which is to get. Remember we saw there's get by. Remember there were 3.
Mhm.
Find element by ID, by name, and by XPath. We're all in the world of XPath here. And in XPath, we're giving it a path that has an ID in it. We could have just said get it by ID and then just give it the ID. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
scratching your left ear with your right hand.
Yeah. Let's show an example.
Well, it's just to show you the ID, to show you that it's possible. So this is a relative path. So basic syntax XPath example, input ID equals email. So we saw that twice. Example. Why is there an A there? Oh, because the tag, see, right after that is the name of the tag. So an A tag, you know what an A tag is? No.
A tangle.
Pity you don't know HTML. You didn't learn HTML in the XI course. That's ridiculous. What?
I would like to move it, but yeah.
It's not really very complicated, but
Is it very relevant nowadays? Will I need it?
not necessarily, but depends what you do, depends what program you do. Put it this way, you may come to the point where you need it on a certain day at your work.
Oh.
And then you'll spend 20 minutes watching a video on it, and then you'll know it, and then you'll use it that day. And the next day, you won't need it again.
Is that what jobs are like? You just learn things on the spot?
Yeah,
And you just don't know what you're doing, you just figure it out?
yeah. Yeah, like one day, all of a sudden you do something with, you realize you do something with HTML, so you better watch a video, quickly learn it, and then do what you need to do, and then go on to something else. And then if you need to remember it, you don't even have to remember it, because if you need to learn it again, you just go.
Here, is it, like, you kind of forget everything and you just relearn everything on your job?
No, I wouldn't say that. If you know basic programming, you should know,
The basic
you know a
concept.
lot, yeah, concepts.
But I wouldn't be able to code right now, I forgot how.
Really, yeah.
It's been so long. I haven't had like a coding class.
You didn't do programming in like introduction to this course? Software
Oh,
engineering?
we did a little, yeah.
And then a mini project or something like that.
Maybe project.
Was there a mini project?
I didn't take that yet.
It's a problem. I know. I teach Unix and everybody forgot how to program when I'm teaching in the third year. So wait a second. So what was I saying? Oh, A. There's such a thing as a tag. Remember, these are other tags. So you have an A tag like this. This is the most important. It's called an anchor tag. It's actually one of the most important tags. href equals YouTube, youtube.com. And then I have to write some tag like click here for YouTube. Okay, \A. You understand what this does? Can you guess what this does?
Like it's a button that
What?
it's a goes to YouTube.
Say a whole sentence?
Is it a button that you
It's
click?
not a button, no button.
Oh.
I didn't make input. It's
Sure,
not
I
input
click
type.
submit.
I didn't write submit, I didn't write input type equals submit. Not a button.
It's just a link that goes to YouTube.
Exactly, it's a link, it's a text. It says, what is the link? What does the link say?
Click here for
Why to YouTube?
the link, yeah.
Click here for YouTube, I just want to write YouTube.
YouTube. And then it routes to youtube.com.
And then when you click on that, it goes to whatever I write here. I could write click here for YouTube and then write here gmail.com. And then I go to Gmail, even though I wrote click here for YouTube. Whatever I write here is gonna go to. That's called the H reference, the hypertext reference. Wherever I'm going to. The A is the anchor. I'm anchoring it in my text. So this is called an A tag. The A tag, I actually didn't write it correctly. That's correct. No, wait a second. Yeah, I made a mistake here. Yeah, no, here I can make a mistake. Here's the close. The first A tag is all of this. See the close arrow, open arrow, close arrow. A tag where reference is this. Click here, close A tag. So all of this is this is the beginning of the A tag, the end of the A tag. This is the text that the A tag surrounds. Understand?
Yeah.
So what they're saying is look for an A tag anywhere on the page whose reference field, right, whose href that I wrote over there is this string. That's what they're saying. Or an image tag, img is an image tag, where it's alt is in an image tag, you have the possibility of giving it an alternate text. So let's say the image doesn't show for whatever reason, it's slow in loading, your very slow connection, but it'll print the word flowers. Or for a person who's blind, they have text readers for blind people. They have web readers. A blind person wants to go on the web, right? And then he'll have a program that'll read to him what's written there. But if there's an image, what is he supposed to do? So you write here alt flower, so then the text reader will read that and say, oh, it's a picture image of flower. And then he knows what's there. XPath with multiple attributes. So here we're saying find one I think this is an and. Logically, this should be an and. This should say, find a tag name which has attribute 1, which is value 1, attribute 2, which is value 2. I'd like to, that's a kind of a bad example, but what's tag name? Which, oh, here's an example. A, that's the tag name. And you know what I should really have done? I see now. I should have first started this course with a little lecture on HTML. A is the tag name, as we saw, an anchor. And ID equals name, and I think it's an and here. And name equals name value. In other words, there could be two ones that have the same ID, theoretically. Kind of be stupid to do that, but there could be two tags that have it, but I want to say, I mean, I'm not sure what this means. But I think what it means is that the ID equals name and the name value equals name value. So it's like, I think it's an and. It could be an or, but I think it's an and. Logic to me, it makes, if I don't write or, I think it's an and. Examples of relative, you can search it for an element even without using any attributes. That is to look for it only according to its type. Here, you see this? Here now we're getting actual code of the, what is this called? Selenium, right?
Yeah.
Find element and then by XPath. And then we say input. Input, any input. We'll find the first input on the page. Find XPath by input 4. We'll find the fourth input element in the page. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's where we're doing an XPath. It's relative, because I didn't have to specify anything. It's going to be slower, though, that's what he's saying. Because it has to search through the page, it doesn't know where to go on the page. It's going to search any input anywhere. In other words, if the page had like many forms and many things, and it'll go through all of them until it finds the fourth input. Review. Absolute F path, relative. Contains the complete path. This one is a relative path. Starts with double, starts with single. Not used more often because it selects elements from root node. Not used more often. Used very often because it searches elements anywhere in the page. So it's written by a person from India. Not used more often because, not used that very often because it selects elements from root node. In other words, because you need to know the path, and we had all those problems. There is no attribute value. Because we just give the path. Remember the example?
Yeah.
We just give the path. We don't need to say what the attribute is.
It just searches everything.
It just search. It doesn't search at all. It just goes there. An example. We just go to this place. Here we have to say where the ID equals email, and then it's going to look for it. Additional review examples by locating XPath. Okay, so here is the HTML page. Input, different names. And find element by XPath, and we can say find the first form. That's this one, this whole element. You see, if you find the first form, you're referring to everything from here all the way to here. And then here we're finding form 1. Well, that's the same thing. This is going to be identical. And here we're saying find form 1 where ID equals log form. It's also the same thing. It's kind of a stupid example to find the form. Is not really, you could be interested in the whole form, but okay. Absolute paragraph would break with the HTML was changed slightly. The first element with the attribute ID is okay. Wait, the form element, the attribute ID is set to login form. Not a set. Oh, with attributes ID set to login form. Right. Taking actions on a page. So all that was just to identify the page. And we didn't show you the by ID, we just showed you the XPath. Now, what are the actions we want to take on the page? How much more do we have? You want to take a break?
Yeah, can I go?
Yeah, we're almost done. Let's take a break.
Okay.
Okay, so we're now back after our break, and we saw taking actions on the page element. So inserting values into the element. In other words, let's say it's a form, and it says please enter your name. So we want to write a program.
There's
There's
two flies.
two flies that are really
So
bothering me.
annoying.
We want to put into our form. We want to put into our form, the name equals. Geronimo. You know what Geronimo was?
I know, there's a song.
It's a song. Is it a
Yeah,
song?
I don't know it.
No, Geronimo was an Indian chief in America,
Oh,
American Indian.
oh, I didn't know that.
Chief Geronimo.
I just know the song.
Yeah, well, it became an expression, I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't even know what the expression means.
anyway, Geronimo. I want to put my name in as Geronimo. So insert text using the command. So element send keys some text. So I write here Geronimo on the element. And how do I get the element? Well, how did I get the element? Oh, find element. Look, right? Find element gives me an element. Then once presumably this function will return an element. And then I can take the element and I can say send keys. That's a funny name. Send keys. You understand? Like send these key presses. That's what it really means.
Oh, yeah.
Send key presses. Insert a value using send keys concatenates the text to the text that already exists in the element, if there is. Therefore, if you want to clean the content first, use the function element clear. You maybe there might be text already there for some reason. It could be like, sometimes they put your name, you know, they tell you what to write there. Your name or something. I don't know. You might, I think you're saying to be safe, you might want to do a clear first and then pressing a button. I'd like to see an example. Oh, I think we're gonna see an example. Yeah, here. Okay. So see here, send keys. They didn't do it, but yeah, okay, fine. We'll see an example. So pressing a button. To press a button, we will use the click method. For example, suppose, for example, that the requested element has an ID with the value calculate. So we go like this. Find WD, which is our, what does WD stand for? Driver. Web driver. Stands for web driver. Good to remember the name because then you understand what it is. It's what thing is, we told it to be like Chrome. And we gave it the page we wanted to go to. We said go to gmail.com and use Chrome. And we went there and now we're on that page. And now we're saying find the element by, oh, now we use by ID. He didn't teach us how to use by ID. He taught us how to use XPath. But in the example here, now we see you just write by ID and you write calculate. You understand?
Yeah. I think so.
And then we write click on that. This is object oriented. So we can do dot click. Right? Another option is to run the submit method on the element. We do element.submit. That would be click also. When calling this method, a search will be performed from the beginning of the element and inward until the button is found and clicked. You understand? So for example, remember in our example that we did here where we said get me the whole form. I can get the form. What element does it give me back? If I did get element by name and I got the name log in for it. So it's going to give me this whole element. And now I can't say click on the element because which thing to click on? I can't click, it's
Yeah, a lot of things.
there's a lot of things here. There's a button here, and there's so I have to actually go to the element whose name is continue and whose type is button. Then I can do click. Or what it's saying is like this, I could just say submit on the form. Why? Because every form has exactly one submit. If there's two, they both go to the same place. So they should. So I can use the element submit. Let's say my element was the whole form. Right? I got the whole form back. And then I can do submit on it. Agreed?
Yeah.
Test writing. So here's our calculator. This is like a website that just does calculating tips. You put in the amount, how you rate the service is 30%, how many people are there, And then what should it give me? It should be 30% of 100, which is 30 divided by 4, 7.5. You're here like a tip calculator,
Oh, what kind of thing?
like at a restaurant,
Oh, ticket, yeah.
a tip calculator.
Uh-huh.
And so you want to know, but you want to divide it by 4 because it's 4 people,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna, so you got the tip. We want to, by the way, this is of course assuming that you're splitting the bill evenly.
True, usually you don't.
I was once at a thing, it was really annoying to me, but maybe I'm a cheapskate. Like there was like 6 families there. Me, not 6, 4 families. One family with 8 children, another family with 8 children, another family with 8 children, and me and my wife. I said, well, let's split it, we'll split it by families.
That's not fair.
There's 4 votes, there's 4 fathers, we'll split it by the 4 fathers.
What? People thought that was fair?
Yeah, I thought that was fair. Because the guy who the children
Yeah, but
pay.
8 children. And...
Also, they don't announce it at the beginning. Because they do it at the end. If I wouldn't, so maybe it was been sunset, maybe I didn't order dessert, I didn't want to spend too much, and everybody else ordered desserts, and then I find out.
Oh my
In other words, you have to have certain assumptions about what you're
so
doing.
unfair. Yeah,
Well,
or just split it by family.
what?
Like everyone should just pay for their own family.
Well, but then you have to go through the whole thing and calculate it, right? Some people are sort of, what?
They should do it, it's not fair.
Right, now some people are, say, oh, the best thing is if somebody said, I'll treat
Yeah,
$10,000.
some people can just be like that with money, but.
Okay, we want to write a test to auto, you understand what we're doing here? We're gonna write a test to automatically test if the tip calculator works. The test is a file in Python that does the following. First of all, it brings up the calculator. Second, it goes to the first text window and puts in 100. Then it goes to the combo box and selects 30% tip. Go to the second text box, enter the value 4. And then it clicks calculate. Press the amount of the tip that each person must pay. Okay, so the amount should be 7. For example, if the cost is 7.5, fine. So here it is. Here's the whole program. From Selenium import WebDriver. From Selenium import by, because we want to do by, and we say, what is our WebDriver going to be? It's going to be Chrome. And we have to do a get. We have to say where we're going. Where are we going? Well, we're not going to an actual web page if we don't write HTTP. We're going to a local file that is an HTML file, which does the calculation. Then we say find element by ID and its bill amount. How do we know that it's bill amount, by the way? How do we know that it's bill amount? Well, oh, come on, go away. Go away. Here, if I go to a page, let's say like gmail.com. Can't I go over here? There's a there is something you can press. More tools. Developer tools. See that? Look, you see what I did?
Yeah.
You know how you
Yeah, I've seen this before.
so you can actually get and here elements and whatever, you can actually see the web page. So you can find where it's called, whatever this is called. There's a form in here. I don't know. There, form, method post, submit. I don't know. Why is
Is
it?
this HTML?
What?
Is this HTML?
This is HTML. Yeah, well, this is HTML. See, it says HTML here. This is HTML. Head. Yeah, this is HTML. See, here's div. Remember I showed you div? Here's div. There's a lot of divs. See all these divs?
Yeah.
The divs do nothing. They're only for the purpose of giving an ID. See? We give it an
It's
ID.
just like a variable kind of like?
No, it's for identifying parts of the page.
Ah.
It's to like labels, it's like labels. What?
So it's clear for a human to be able to understand?
No, not for a human, so I can change it with a CSS page. Here, style, see it says style equals display. Oh no, I think that's, no, sometimes it, here, let's do a search for CSS. It should be somewhere, did it find it? No matches, no. Okay, whatever. Back to where we were. Slideshow, current slide. Okay, we're almost done. So we're finding an element called bill amount, and then we're doing send keys, and we're giving it the string 100. And then we're finding it, oh, here by XPath. Oh, Baruch Hashem. We're giving it through the XPath. Where ID, we're giving a relative path, anything, I don't know what this little star is there for. Oh, because we're looking for any tag. He didn't teach that. But we're gonna look for any tag. We're supposed to write a tag name there, but we didn't. We just wrote a star. So we're saying any tag, but whose ID equals service quality. I mean, that's essentially the same thing as by ID, right? There's no difference. We're just saying where the ID is it. Why do we have the XPath? Really, we have it because we don't want to look for ID. We want to do it when we don't have an ID. You know, we only have three choices: by ID, by name, and if we don't have either of those, then we use XPath. It's sort of stupid to use XPath when you have the ID.
Yeah.
And then we say option 2, click. Why do we want to click it? Why quality? Oh, quality of service is option 2. In quality of service is option 2, and there's options. And it's an input type. It's a little bit confusing. You should have written here the word input. Because it's actually, it could be not an input, it could be a select box, whatever. There's different types of things here. Anyway, input 2, which is obviously quality, is 30%. He wants to get a 30% tip, and he clicks on that. And then here, people amount, he puts in 4, and then he clicks on the calculate amount. And then what? He finds the tip. He finds what the tip is, but he wants the value. This we didn't see. He didn't explain this text. Right? He didn't explain it?
No.
So this is to get the actual text that the guy wrote. See, here, what is this? Tip amount 7.5. That's actually on the same page, another tag is created here. And the text is 7.5. So we get the text and we have to assert that it equals 7.5. Now this is, we have to, right, assert that tip reserve, whatever this variable that I made equals 7.5. Now, it could be with a $sign, you have to check how it works, but yeah. We want to access the first text box. How can we know is path? Step 1. Oh, press F12. That's what I just did. Essentially what I did was pressing F12. And this window opens and identify the inspect button, check that is turned off. Click on it, it turns on. The following demonstrates, so there's an inspect button. I did it, whatever. There's an inspect button here. And you can click on that. And then you can point with your mouse over the different elements. And once you point to the first text box, which is the element you're interested in, click on the first text box, and then it highlights it. It highlights the input line in blue as the following window demonstrates. So I can go here and click on this, and then I see bill amount. Obviously, it's harder to do this when the page is very confusing. Note the inspect button turns off. If you want to find the path of another element, you need to press the inspect button again to turn it on. Right click on the line that is colored blue, and then this window opens, and you can do copy. Click on the copy option, then the following window, copy what, and you can click on the XPath option. See there, it says copy XPath. So you can also copy full path, full XPath. I think full is what we called absolute. But if you click on if you click on it, you get the relative path. If you click on make full copy, then you get the absolute path.
Mhm.
That's it. So now you are a debugger. You are a quality assurance person for websites.